Hey guys, welcome to the Antique Salvage Collector. I'm here with my good buddy Keavin. Say hi, Keavin.
Hi there, how's it going?
Right now, we're going to do a special episode here. We're on our way out to Lingayen to pick up a good friend of ours, Steve Drake. We're going to go out and pick him up. We're going to bring him in, and he's going to see our collection in the garage there. So we're going to give him a tour tonight. I don't know if he's going to let me film it or not, but I'll ask him when we pick him up. So stay tuned, and we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so we picked up Steve Drake, so we're going to go in the garage here. I'm going to show Steve the collection. He's been eager to see it, and we're going to see what kind of stories he can tell me and what kind of memories we can pull out of his head. So follow us. Might as well hit these ones first.
Okay guys, before we get in here, are we on video now?
We are on video.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you.
We can edit it all, so don't worry about it.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm an old guy. I've been around a long time. And I was so excited to come here to see this after seeing the videos, Jerry's videos. This, for me, is like going right back to when I was a kid. This is fantastic.
That's why I can't wait to get
I like it already, and I just walked in the door.
So don't mind my couches. I just got 2 more couches. They smell like cigarette smoke, so that's why there's powder on them. It's odor powder.
Yeah.
So just don't sit on those. You can sit on this, but don't sit on them ones.
No.
My God.
So
this is crazy. It is. This is beautiful.
So as much information as you have in your head,
yeah.
I have a lot in here, but everything in here. So
without question,
it's hard to know where to start.
You can't explain all this to me.
I'm going to start with
one evening. You got to do the big things.
I'm going to start with the coolest things I think I have in this entire garage.
Very good.
And that's going to be these 3 things hanging above your head.
Okay.
Now I have Ford Fairlane, Galaxy, and Falcon. They hung in the showroom of LA Steel Ford in North Sydney, between 60 and 65.
How sweet is that?
And do you remember what was going on in the world between 60 and 65? There's 2 things.
No, I was a kid, but what was
Well,
it?
you had the Cold War.
Yes.
And you had the space race.
Yeah.
So the idea is these were looking like galaxies because everything was Art Deco and everything was space related.
Gotcha.
So these are cardboard original. Now there's a ring missing from each one of these ones. But tell me if you'll ever see those again in your entire life.
Never. Ever.
Original dealership, showroom.
See, I was a kid then.
Yeah.
And I don't remember these because I wouldn't be inside a car dealership because my father didn't have enough money to buy a car.
And this sign here,
especially a new car.
This sign, at the same time they were hanging in the showroom, that was sitting on the curb.
Oh, how cool is
And
that?
now this is a 2-piece sign. So you see the family of fine cars up here?
Yeah.
So that is the top part of this sign that had a frame that went and sat right directly on top of this. And that entire thing was 12 feet in the air at the side of the road at LA Steel.
Yeah.
And it was only used between 60 and 65. Now, the funny thing about this, I'll tell you this story right quick, is this is a couple going back a few years now. I don't remember exactly. It might be 8 years, might be 7 years. This sign came up on Kijiji. Picture had it there, no phone number. I thought it was a tractor sign because it's red. Because every other Ford sign you see in here is blue.
Blue,
yeah. So I thought it was a tractor sign. So I know John Newman, right? I spent more nights and evenings at Johnny's place, and he's been here till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Phenomenal body, man.
Yeah,
painter.
That's right. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So I told John about it. I said, John, there's this Ford tractor sign at Kijiji I'm trying to get. So I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks went by or whatever it was. I went over to Johnny's place. Johnny's all excited. He says, "Wait, can I show you what I got?" He said, "I got a new Ford dealership sign." So I said, "Okay, great." So we walked over to his garage. He had this laying on the floor, and all the excitement went right from my face. I was like, "You bought the sign I'm trying to get." So he kept the top part. So he separated the 2 signs. It was in the basement of the house. I don't know how they ever got it out of the freaking house. Yeah, because the 2 of them were mounted together. So they unbolted the top half, the Ford Family Fun Car products, off that sign, and he kept that one. So he's got that hanging in his garage, and after about 3 months of begging him, I said, because my last garage was 24 by 24 with 12-foot ceilings. Yeah. So I said, Johnny, that's got to hang. Like, that needs to be hung, right? He didn't have the space for it because he's only got 8-foot walls.
Yes.
So after a couple months, he finally agreed to sell me the sign. Wow. So he sold me this. I've had this ever since. He's got the other half. Now, the funny part about this, too, the story continues. So another friend of ours, Walter DeVoe, over, you must know Walter. He must have ran Walter before. He's over on, what's the name of that road?
Walter DeVoe, I don't think so.
He's from over, yeah, he's from Brador area over there, going out Coney Road or whatever.
Probably not.
So Walter's a scrounger from back in the day, but he's got massive hoards of car parts. So any kind of antique vintage car, I guarantee you he has the part. He has the chrome piece. He has whatever it is you're looking for, he has. So he got in LA Steel back when they were cleaning the building in. And that sign there was the replacement lens for the sign John Newman has, the part he kept, because one of them was cracked.
What a connection.
So after years ago going out there and dealing with Walter sold me that Ford sign and those 3 Ford signs, and now Johnny's after me because he wants that, because that's the replacement sign for the half he kept. But I said, no, Johnny, here's the thing. Someday that sign's going to be in here.
I want your sign in my garage.
One of these days, that sign's going back together.
You see, all this in here, without that history,
Yeah.
all this looks really cool.
That's it, and that's all.
You got to get the story.
That's right.
You always have to have the story.
So the idea behind the videos was I could write all this down. I could write all the stories I know down
Yeah.
and put it in a book.
Yeah.
But that scribbler gets damaged or destroyed,
Yeah.
you're back to just looking cool.
Or you could do it on a hard drive as well, right? You could
Yeah.
also do that, right? If you wanted to actually put it in text and have it saved,
That's
someday
right.
it could be a book.
Someday I'd love to write a book.
This garage could be a book.
Yep.
I'd like to write a book too now, but I got too much in my head to write.
So I figured now by doing these videos, this is getting it out there. So now everybody's seeing it.
Yep.
Now people are going to say, "Oh, fuck, you know, I know the
I
story
remember
behind
that, and I remember this. Well, I remember this. I remember the BA garage in the Waterford
Yep.
at the bottom of Ellsworth Avenue.
Yep.
When we were kids, Barb and I went up the hill the other day. We were down by my old stomping grounds, my old neighborhood down by the shore. And I said to Barb, I said, look at that hill, honey. When I was 7 years old, I thought that hill was a monster. Now it's not even a hill, you know, it's just a little rise, right?
Yeah.
And we'd go down that wide open on our bikes, me and my 2 cousins, Joey and Clayton. We'd go down that hill wide open, and at the bottom was the BA garage.
Yep.
And
That's
the
an empty lot
the
now,
BA
right?
garage, it's an empty lot.
It's an empty lot.
The BA garage was there forever.
Yep.
So when I got a bit older,
What name was on it? Do you remember?
Omer Cameron.
Cameron.
Omer
Cameron's
Cameron's BA garage. I don't remember that. I have no
I have
idea.
no idea. But see, this is the story. This is the
Omer
information
Cameron's
we're getting.
BA garage.
Yep.
Where
So
exactly was that?
It was on the corner of Ellsworth Avenue and Heelan Street in the
Gotcha.
Waterford,
Yeah.
at the very bottom.
There's an empty
I know
lot
where
there.
you're at, yeah.
There's an
Yeah,
empty
okay,
lot
gotcha.
there right now, okay? So we'd get down there, and there was a little candy store right across the road, and you know, the gas station was always busy, full service, of course, right?
Yeah.
I remember when it went from the BA garage to Jim's Golf.
Golf. Yes. So
Went
between
to
60 and
Jim's Golf.
65, they
Jim's-
switched over.
Went to Jim's Golf.
Yep.
So Jim, what was Jim's last name?
That's
Uh,
speculative.
No,
Okay.
from New Victoria. Jim Finelson. His
Okay.
name was Jim Finelson. So Jim owned the garage, and the guys that were down there were another generation older than I was. I was just a kid. I was just getting my driver's license, turned 16, had my father's car, you
What year are
know.
we talking?
Well, that would have been 1971.
Okay. Yep.
Ish. 70.
Yeah.
1970, 71. Jim's Golf was there, and all the cool guys had the nice cars because that was the muscle car era.
That's right.
1968 to 1971
You get-
was the massive muscle car era. That's when all the fast ones were coming out,
But
right?
the most expensive car was probably $3,500 back then.
Probably around $5,000. You'd
$5
get a
grand?
Hemi,
Yeah.
a Hemi Cuda or something like that, or you'd get a 454 LS6 Chevelle for about $5,000.
40 years later,
at
we're
the
at 7
time.
figures.
Well, 7 figures now.
Yeah.
If you knew that, you would have put one in your garage, a couple in
Oh,
your garage.
geez, you would have
you'd be
mortgaged
rich
your
today.
life just to get 10 of them.
So I remember when it changed to Jim's Golf.
Yep.
Then I was 18 years old. I was working at the pool hall in the Waterford. Clarence Ivy owned the pool hall, little snooker hall with 4 tables, and I lived in it. I skipped as much school as I could and still pass. I went to the pool hall all the time in the Waterford. And when I graduated from high school in grade 12, Clarence Ivy said, Steve, you're here all the time. You almost live here. Why don't you work for me? So my first job out of high school was working at the pool hall,
Nice.
Clarence's pool hall. And a friend of mine, J.T. McLean, who was a steel worker, he had a 1971 Dodge Demon 340. It was a 340. It was a hot muscle car back in the day.
What color?
It was red and white. An original car. It was
Yeah.
all original, white interior. It was a loaded one.
Nice.
And the price was probably, brand new, was probably about $2,900, $3,000. Somewhere around that, brand new, fully loaded, right? And it was a 340, which was a hot car back then. And I'm 18.
Yeah.
None of my friends have a car. I'm working at the pool hall. I make $2 an hour under the table,
Yeah.
right? I go to my dad and I say, JT's selling this car.
Wow.
I want to buy the car. Will you get the loan? And Dad says, yeah, I'll get the loan, but you're paying for it. I said, Dad, you'll never make a payment. And he never did.
Nice.
$2,500. I bought my first car. It was a 1971 340 Demon. And I'm driving around the Waterford like the king of the road.
Wow.
1971. I started hanging around with the older guys down at Jim's Golf.
Yep.
When I bought my car.
Wow.
Jim's Golf at the bottom of the road. Somewhere from the B8 at Jim's, and I started hanging around there. And some of those guys, one of them, Huey McCacken, was the mechanic, and Huey was brilliant. He had a 1970 Boss 302 Cougar Eliminator, which today is a rare piece of machinery. Huey had that car down there.
Wow. It's too bad my neighbor's asleep.
That's
He's
the
got a
era
purple.
that I grew up in.
He's got a purple one in his garage across the street with a white interior.
A purple?
Dodge Demon.
No.
Yeah, he never takes it out.
No, he doesn't.
Other than drive it up and
A
down the
Dodge
street.
Demon?
I'm pretty sure it's either Demon or Duster.
It's gotta be a
71.
Duster.
It might be a Duster.
It's a Duster.
But
I've
it
seen
has the white
around.
interior.
I've seen it around.
It's got
Yeah.
the very creamy.
The white
pure
interior.
white.
The white interior was a bit rare because it was usually black.
Oh, okay.
It was like a rare, not a rare option, but it was less popular than the black.
Wow.
Yeah.
He only takes it out to go to the top of the road and back in the garage.
Oh yeah. Why don't you?
Doesn't drive it.
They take it to the car shows.
He doesn't even do that.
Take it to the car shows.
Doesn't take it to hot dogs nights or nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've seen that car around, and that's
There's two of them. You never saw his because his don't leave the garage.
Okay, his doesn't leave the garage. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see
One
that.
of these days you come over.
Find out what year it is, Jerry.
It's a 70 or 71. I know that for sure.
Well, it's a 70 or 71. They're the hot one.
Yeah.
They're the two hot
So,
years.
this is my baby. Yeah.
Dad, you showed this on your video.
Fully functional.
You showed this on your video. There's a turntable in there.
Yeah, I
You
use it
got
all
an
the time.
8-track in there.
I don't own any 8-tracks, but unfortunately, if the radio works,
Oh my
the
God.
record player works. I listen to it all the
When
time.
my dad passed away, there was
Oh, actually,
I had to clean out his garage in the house. There was 3 boxes of 8-tracks
Wow.
in Dad's garage.
Actually,
I threw them away.
you must know Bill O'Flaherty.
I know Bill. Yeah.
So I know Bill's family really well. So
Yeah.
Keith's actually supposed to bring me. Bill passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
So Keith's actually supposed to bring me some. Yeah, that's full of.
That's as vintage as it gets, buddy. Huh? Still sounds great, eh? That's the radio.
That's the radio.
Yeah.
Record player works perfectly.
Well,
I mean, it's got shitty speakers.
electronics last a long time. It's not. Listen, that doesn't matter.
I love it.
It's what it is.
We bought that a couple years ago,
You know.
and it's been, I don't know how many
Yeah.
times we moved it around, but
Beautiful.
yeah. So I can tell you basically where any of these soundings came for. If you ask a question about something, I can answer. I can almost answer and tell you where it came from.
Well, you went through this whole thing on the videos.
We did a quick tour on the video.
Oh, it was,
So each week my
I didn't think
plan
it was
is.
quick. It was 22 minutes to one. I watched 3 of them, didn't I?
Oh,
Was there
there's
3?
5 or 6 up there
I
now.
think there's 5. We're at 5
Yeah.
now.
When you sent it to me, I
Yeah.
think there was 3. So there's got to be 2 new ones.
But I could tell you, like, I could spend probably 15, 20 minutes on each individual song about where it came from and what I know.
Without question.
Yeah.
Let's go around, buddy. And take a
So-
You're going to show me the big.
I'm going to
things.
turn the big lights on just so we can see everything.
I know about the story in the Coke machine when you lost your boxes.
Ooh,
I know about that
tough one.
story.
Tough one.
That's tough, buddy.
Here's the
in
Mad
the
Potters,
original box is always much better,
Yeah.
right?
So here's the Mad Potters, a lot of the Monty pottery. Again, it was just something I started finding 1 piece, 2 piece,
Yeah.
and I started collecting them.
Yeah.
So then there's a few different Devco tags there, as you remember.
Yeah. Look at that.
So just for the purpose of the video, so Steve was a miner. He's 4th generation, is that what you said?
Fourth generation
Fourth
coal
generation,
miner,
yeah.
and I was an industrial electrician, and I worked for the Miners Union as the president. I was the last president of the Miners Union, District 26, UMWA, during probably, I guess, the toughest time in the history of our 300-year-old industry. Yeah,
So there's
so I've
a
been at it a long time.
few different tags there. Devco ones, there's a couple ones that were spelled out, the division, seal division.
Devco's the stop sign ones. So Cape Breton Chrysler was the place, that was the big place to go if you were a Chrysler fan. If you were a Mopar guy, you went to Chrysler.
Yep.
And I remember it would have been 1970.
Yep.
Friend, you want a story?
Absolutely.
Here's a little
I love
story.
stories.
Here's a little Cape Breton Chrysler story.
Yep.
At the pool hall, I'm a kid.
Yep.
The steel workers are making money. The coal miners are making money. And they're buying cars in the 1970s. So a friend of mine, Brian Mahosky,
Yep.
he was a coal miner. And Brian was at the pool hall one day and he says, I'm going in to buy a new car.
Yep.
And at the time, people were starting to do a lot of street racing.
Yep.
Back in 1968,
The old Point of Coney Road and stuff.
70. Point of Coney Road, but Framboys was the big one.
Yep.
Out in Framboys, that was the big one, right? And so Brian Mahosky's at the pool hall one day on a Saturday. I remember it was a Saturday, and we were there bright and early, and it's around lunchtime. Brian says, I'm going into Sydney to Cape Breton Chrysler, and I'm going to order myself a new car. I want a new car. And we knew what he was getting because he was one of the guys that wanted to race at the time.
Where was Cape Breton Chrysler?
Cape Breton Chrysler is where the Chrysler dealer
Okay,
is right
just
now.
wanted to make sure it was the same
place.
Yep, okay.
Same place, same lot.
Yep.
So Brian goes in and he orders his new car. And he comes back and he's got the slip for it, the order slip, the invoice, one of the invoices, right? That he signed and everything else. And he ordered a 1970 340 Duster, bench seat, white with the black stripe kit, shift on the column, 340. That's all he wanted was the 340 for racing, right? No, it was automatic, an automatic car. And I remember the price was $2,500 and change to buy this brand new 340.
That's crazy.
And then he got it and he raced it, and he was coming home from work one night and went to sleep and smashed it, went in the ditch and rode it off. Then he bought a Demon after that.
I got a from Island Ford there, just the 71 T-Bird, a couple different them advertising, right? So it's crazy what you would actually get a car for back then.
Well,
I couldn't imagine.
You're buying a brand new 340 for $2,600.
That's crazy.
So you're buying a brand new Mustang for around the same price.
And every one of those cars are 6 figures.
They had to be competitive, right? Yeah.
So actually, so Benny's Esso was where they tore Mercer's down. So it was Benny's Esso before Moose Mercer bought it. Yeah, and so that's where the father-in-law was operating Cars Auto for the last like 20 years too. Right?
Yeah.
So I worked there. Like I was at West for a little while too, right? Running the service station for him. But so this cabinet here is all my dairy stuff.
Listen, I'm going to say something right now for the video. I'm amazed that he is so young and he has collected all this stuff. I'm amazed. I'm blown away, actually. This is like being on TV on American Pickers or something like that. Only here I am, right?
But most of the majority of what's in here is local, and that's what it is for me. It's not so much of having it in the visual
I would
feel,
think that's far better, because every single thing that you're talking about is something that one of us, the older guys, grew up with and remember. You know.
And quite frankly, this is the best part about it. Guys like you that come in here and are seeing this for the first time, and the stories they're remembering, like. So these are all local dairy stuff. Every one of these are different tabs, different milk bottles, calendars.
I've got some bottles home. You can have them if you want them. I've got 2 McKinley's pop bottles. You got any of those? Oh, you got to wait till that.
We didn't get there yet.
I got McKinley's pop bottles from McKinley.
Nice.
From him.
Nice.
He gave them to me at work one day. I told him I wanted the pop bottles for my bar home.
Yeah. And
he said, "Oh, I got a bunch of those home." And he came to work one day and he had the 2 friggin' McKinley's pop bottles for me.
Nice. So this bag here is actually full of those red tabs. They're the good for 1 quart.
Yes.
And they're all from Cape Breton Dairymen. So the funny thing is, the lady across the street, the same one where the duster's in the garage.
Yeah.
Her husband worked for Cape Breton Dairy. And the big garage she has across the street was for the milk truck.
Yeah.
So when she saw my first video and she saw I had this cabinet together, Mike, who owns the duster, came over and she said, "Here, Terry wants you to have this." And I opened it up, and that's what it was. So that, even though I only have a handful of them out there, there's probably 200-300 of those tabs.
So I remember as a kid, the milkman would deliver your milk.
Yep.
Come to the house, he'd deliver your milk, and you get the milk in. That's it. You get the milk in a quart bottle.
Yep.
Right. It was a quart bottle at the time, right? And I remember you'd go and you'd take the tab off the top of it.
Yep.
And get your glass of milk, and there's a little cardboard tab.
Yep.
Just
So
like those.
every one of these. Yep.
Just like these.
So these are all different ones. So Modern City,
the Modern
the
City.
Clouds,
Would have been
Maple
Modern
Grove.
City at my place when they delivered at my place. It would have been Modern City Dairy.
And so Modern City Dairy was down on the pier on Lingan Road. So
Yeah,
that building
I
is.
didn't know that.
It's at the corner of Henry Street, Lingan Road. The
We
building's still there.
never left in Waterford when I was a kid because my dad couldn't buy a car. You know,
Did they have a dairy? Did you guys have a dairy in Waterford?
No.
I've never ever seen anything from the Waterford, so that's why I was curious.
No dairy.
Because there's a fuel and glaze bay.
Waterford had everything. I've got a sketch home that someone did of the main street into Waterford back in the 40s. I think it was back in the 1940s. There was about 110 stores, businesses on the main drag into Waterford, all in the main drag into Waterford, and then another 25 or 30 away from the main drag into Waterford.
Wow. I found it was a yardstick. Actually, I have a bunch in the basement. I don't think I have too many over here. But it was Newman's Hardware. So I gave it to Johnny.
Newman's Harbor.
Right?
Yeah.
Much like where I have the Dean tires, just because
Yes.
my last name's Dean.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Johnny, I found the old
Yeah.
Newman's Harbor, so
Yeah.
I gave him those things. But,
See, I remember that from town, right?
so this here is the original porcelain sign from LA Steel Ford from back in the 20s and 30s. The very first one.
Where's that? Where was that?
That one.
LA Steel Ford?
Yeah, it was.
See, that was way before me.
It was on the main road. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
That's a question I gotta ask a few different guys. But Johnny actually, the family from Georges River.
Yeah.
So that was in the original farmhouse. The big sign
This sign.
came from there, and this was actually Johnny Newman. Also, I got that from Johnny. He got that from the woods behind the original farmhouse.
The shape, they're still in good shape. I mean,
And you know what?
over time, things happen. You know you're going to get that.
And those rust marks, like not the missing paint, obviously, the porcelain, but those rust marks, barkeepers. I've actually started cleaning this Superline sign up. Look how white it is.
Yeah.
And it'll actually take off the rust marks off the porcelain.
What was that?
So I didn't even get a chance to clean that yet, but these are actually all going to clean up.
Yeah.
I've just discovered that barkeepers will actually clean the rust off porcelain.
What's it called?
Barkeepers.
Called barkeepers.
What do I do with it?
It's a special cleaning solution or something?
Yeah. I don't know. It's here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Look. Yeah, barkeepers.
Never heard of it.
So if you want to clean porcelain, for anybody that wants to clean porcelain signs, you go to your local hardware store, you pick this stuff up, you just mix a little bit of water, and it will actually take every one of those rust off that white. So when I'm done cleaning that Ford will actually be as white as that
As
Super.
white as this.
Yep. Because I've already cleaned up the top half of that sign. Yep.
It's a product for everything, my friend.
It's a product for everything.
Product for everything.
So moving on. So these here are from the College Ford now in Bedeck.
Before you go to that, we'll go to that next. Let's do this one because I was waiting for you to say something about this sign and you didn't say anything.
Which one?
The team sign.
The team sign. That's one of the
sign.
That's one of the very first pop signs I bought. I got that from Tracy McLean in Orangedale. Tracy has an antique shop and a couple plastic cars up in Orangedale. It's the only thing he's ever sold me, and I bought that probably 8 years ago.
And
That's one of the
like
very first
new.
one.
That's like new.
Yep. And actually, look at it. Somebody's name is actually on it. Todd Gillis, May 19th, 1988. So I have no idea who Todd Gillis is, but
he's there.
he's there.
Yep.
He's in my garage now.
Yep.
Which is going to take me to another story in a few minutes as we make our way around here. But
Okay.
so Macaulay's Ford and Bedeck.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So that is an original replacement lens, never been opened. So now when I hung it up there, here's the thing, it's only new ones. It's only new old stock ones, so when I was going to hang it up, I really wanted to take it out and light it up, but I said I couldn't do it.
No.
So what I did was I took the, you can see where the cross piece went across it.
Yeah.
I just took that off carefully
Yeah.
and placed it on top.
Yeah.
So it's only held together by staples, not nails.
Yeah.
So I just took the staples out of it and it's stapled to the top. That way you can just visually see it.
Yep.
But it's only new old stock, only original ones. So I hung it in the crate that it came in.
Same as something for a car.
That's it.
It's only new old.
Once you open it,
That's it. Yeah, that's
So,
it. That's the best way to do that.
best way to do it. I said no.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put the whole crate right on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So here's all my McKinley stuff. You mentioned
You got
McKinley.
a ton of it.
So I got everything from 6-packs, the original bottles, paper labels, cardboard boxes, cardboard 6-packs. These are probably the 4 oldest, and like there's a ton of crates up here, and they're all Havelock, Modern City, Cape Breton Dairyman, Brookfield Dairy. Like they're all local crates up there, Ideal Beverages. But these are the 4 oldest and more rare ones.
I think their most famous pop was
Iron Brew. Iron Brew.
And Doug McKinley told me the Iron Brew story.
Yep.
People used to come from away to get Iron Brew here in Cape Breton over in Glace Bay from his family because they had the Iron Brew recipe.
So they had Lime Ricky, they had the ginger ale, they bottle Frosties, root beer, Nesbitt's, orange. We're gonna do a whole video and stuff on McKinley's later. But Iron Brew is what they were.
Do you know anything about double cola? Or did you hear? You know about it?
I have an original double cola crate here. Let me see if I can get this out. I want to show you something. See, this is probably one of the rarest pop crates you're ever going to see.
Well, I'll tell you a double cola story too. Well, you want some stories? I'll give them. Oh my God.
So I actually just bought this 3 weeks ago. A guy in Bedeck found this in the barn out back of his house. He had it on the Facebook Marketplace. A buddy of mine calls me up and says, I'm not on Facebook, so he says, check Facebook Marketplace, there's a McKinley crate. I emailed Buddy, I bought it, we made a deal, he delivered it to me. But let me see if I can get this out here. Very carefully. This is probably the rarest crate I have. So it's a full color, double cola, super king size, 16-ounce bottle. But you know what makes this cool? Read this right here.
What's that? What's that? I got.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got,
So this is
vision.
property of Sydney Mineral Springs Limited, 109 Richmond Street, Sydney, Nova Scotia. This is original Sydney crate.
That is so very cool.
It's the only crate I've ever seen from Sydney Mineral Springs. I had a crate from Sydney Mineral Waterworks, but this is Sydney Mineral Springs, 109 Richmond Street. The address, everything stamped right in it, and it's original because it's the same color as the super quality on the outside.
So we're kids growing up in New Waterford, and there was a lady in New Waterford. Her name was Mamie McVicker. Her son was Art McVicker, owned McVicker's drugstores. And she lived in a company house on 9th Street in New Waterford. And generations of kids would hang out at her store. And everybody called her Ma, Mamie McVicker. She was the nicest person. And we didn't even know it, but she taught us about credit. So at the time, I was like 11, 12 years old when I discovered the store because it wasn't in my neighborhood. My two cousins went up to the Little League where the fire station is right now in New Waterford, down on Walsh Avenue. Yeah. Well, my two cousins, that was a ball field at the time. Irish Memorial School was there, and there was the old hospital originally on that site, and there was a ball field there. So my two cousins went up and they were playing Little League, and some of the people from that neighborhood who hung out our age at Ma Vicker's store, were there, and we got to be friends that summer. So I started hanging out at Ma Vicker's store, and it was a tiny, tiny little building, tiny little building.
Mom, pop.
There was hardly anything in there, but she had all the stuff that the kids needed, and she was very good to the kids. And she gave us all a charge account. Wow. And she kept it all in a scribbler, and you could get. I got $2 a week was my allowance from my dad, right? And you did your chores, got the coal in and things like that. And so I had a charge account at my store. And every Thursday when the miners got paid, I got $2 and I went up and paid my account off. And she said, Steve Drake, you're the only guy that comes up every week and pays your bill. That's very good. I really like that. And you could get a double cola and a bag of chips and a chocolate bar for 25 cents.
What year is this? I'm going to keep asking you this. You're going to tell stories. What year was this?
That would have been, just give me a second, that would have been around 1967, 68, somewhere around that time frame. Because I was a kid when I started hanging out at my store, and it was 25 cents, double cola, 16 ounce,
right there.
bag of chips, and a bar.
6-pack, 16 ounce double cola.
Yeah, there it is.
There's
right
the bottle.
Take that out.
You want to see one of them?
I want to see that bottle. I haven't seen one in, I don't know, 40 years, I guess it must be. Look at that.
Coca-Cola, 16 ounce.
So how many stories can I tell you?
Oh, buddy, we're all here with them all.
I'll tell you another story. Are we on video still?
Oh, this video's still rolling, yeah.
Okay, so it was about 35 or 40 of us hung out at my store. And every once in a while we'd have a little party. And we were kids. So nobody's drinking yet. We're not teenagers yet, so we're not drinking yet or anything like that. So we'd have a little party, and Mom and Dad had a stereo. And
not as cool as that fireplace, though.
Not as cool as the fireplace, but they had a little stereo, you know, the one with the turntable in it and everything else. Right? Look at that! Look at this! This is crazy. So we'd have a party at my place, and Mom and Dad would be gone. This is crazy. Oh my God, that is so cool. I'm going to take a picture of this because I want to show some friends of mine this. So we'd have a party at my place, and I'd invite like whoever wanted to come down from our store down to the house, and we'd have the stereo going, and we'd dance, and you know, it was just kid fun, right? Yep. But the guys would buy 2 bottles of double cola, one for a guy and one for one of the girls that would come. And the girls would bring cookies and pastries and stuff like that. And so about 11 o'clock in the night before everybody was heading home, we'd have double cola, sitting there listening to the tunes. We'd have double cola and cookies. And then everybody would clean up. The house would be spotless. And Mom and Dad wouldn't even know that there was ever, they knew it was okay. Yeah. But you wouldn't even know there was anybody in the house when Mom and Dad came home that night. Same way all the time, never any trouble. But it was double cola and cookies.
There you go. Take a picture of that.
That would
you got the crate and the 2 6-packs.
Look at that. No, I'm not taking a picture of it. You're taking a picture of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Standing behind it because I just don't want a picture of it. I'll show my friends this, they'll say, no, well, I'm sending this to my sister. Every once in a while, she'll see something on Facebook.
Yeah.
And she'll say, oh my God, you gotta see this, look at this. Do you remember this? And I'll say, yeah, I remember, honey. I'm not that old that my memory's going. Here,
You want me to take a picture of you?
take a picture. I wanna get it. Yeah, take a picture just like
Alright.
that.
You got one in the back behind my general store display here.
Just like that mom's story. Okay, what can I get you there, sonny? What can I get you?
Oh, this will get the team sign in there too. Perfect.
1960s. Cool. Brings back memories, buddy.
Oh.
Gotta tell ya.
So that's one of the very first crates I ever bought, and it's probably the only one. I'll say comfortably, I'll tell you right now, no one else is going to be able to show me one of these. If you can, I'll give you $100.
Maybe, yeah. No.
Mark my words, you find me a crate from Sydney Mineral Springs like that one there, I will give you a $100 bill.
Never
But I'm
gonna
gonna tell you
happen,
right now,
Jerry.
you're never gonna see another crate like that.
Never gonna happen, Jerry.
Yeah.
I've never seen
So
one.
yeah, so probably the coolest bathroom you're ever gonna see, but we didn't get there yet.
Don't go
So
there yet, no.
so Buckingham cigarettes and all these red rose signs were found in a company house down in the pier.
No way.
So company houses, you're familiar with those,
Yes,
obviously.
very much. From
So
Waterford.
they were poorly insulated,
Yeah.
and they probably had an actual wood stove in them for heat. A lot of them for source.
Coal stove.
Coal stove.
It was coal.
So these signs that were often used in stores, like this is a 1949, marked right there, 1949. So these were taken and put in the wall behind the stoves and the stacks for heat shields. So Buddy, who had the
We had one in our house. Not a sign, but we had one in our house. You bought them.
yeah, so the sign company, Sanford Signs, or the traffic control guys,
Yeah.
Sanford's, is that what it was? Stafford's or something? They're not in existence anymore. He bought a house down the pier, and he gutted the house. And when he was gutting the company house, he found all these signs. So this porcelain Texaco sign was
Yeah.
behind the stack, completely painted over. So that's porcelain. So I put stripper on that. I stripped all the white paint off it. You
Wow.
couldn't see any of it. You could just see the faint glitters of Texaco through the latex paint or the oil paint.
So how did you find out about this?
So he put these up for sale too.
Oh.
So there's probably a dozen guys in Cape Breton who tried to buy them.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, it didn't work out, but it worked out that I ended up with them. So there was 2 more of these. I kept these, sold the other 2 because I didn't need 5 of them.
No.
Kept these ones here, and I kept the Buckingham cigarette, of course. So it just looked out. Now when I bought these, they were probably this thick and soot. They were just black.
Yeah.
So like, it's unfortunate, but I mean, a lot of the paint, as you can see, started
Well,
flaking
again,
and
that's
chipping.
patina. They use it on cars. It's called patina.
That's right. And look, you can actually see the burn. So
You
here's
never
a,
explain that.
there's a burn
Yeah,
from.
you never explain that.
But now the coolest thing about this one is the people who put that in there, they carved their names. So these are all names of people in the pier that at some point
We're there.
were there.
Yeah.
Now I would love to find out who these people are or talk to family members of these people. Yeah, so anyways, that's the cool thing about that. So like I said, most of everything in here is local. So these are all local signs that were found in a company house in the pier.
That's the best part of the
Right.
story.
So you can find this Red Rose coffee and tea sign all you want, but I'm telling you right now, this one's the most valuable one that I'm ever going to see.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you have a new wall stock one worth $1,000 a piece, you don't have the story.
No, you haven't got
You
the
don't
story.
have the story.
It's not the same as buying one. No, it's not the same as getting this because you got history here. You got a family story right here. It's right there.
So this is the coolest bathroom ever, I've been told.
Look at this.
So-
If I find them, I'll send you a picture.
Remember Jim Spagaletti?
I do.
Well, these pictures came from Jim's garage.
Oh, these are in Jim's garage.
You know Jim?
Sweet.
You met Jim?
I met Jim.
Unfortunately, I never met Jim. I'm
I met Jim.
going to tell you a story about
I'm in
Jim.
the car club.
Come on over here.
I'm in the car club.
So you know Shirley?
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you a story about Jim and Shirley. I've never met Jim, God rest his soul. I wish I had.
Good guy, good fella.
This is the sign from Jim's garage.
No way.
You ever been in Jim's garage?
You never know.
So Jim had the 49 Ford and he has
Yes.
a 72 O'Connell on
Yep.
it, right? This sign was in Jim's garage behind the 49 Ford.
So just sitting there, it was on the.
No, it was hanging on the wall.
It was
So
hanging
he
on the
had the frame.
Yeah.
So what it was is I knew the sign was there. I heard the sign was there. I never met Jim. Unfortunately, Jim passed away.
Yeah.
But I heard the sign was out there and I knew the cars were out there.
Yeah.
So I stopped out one day. I was driving by, heading out to Flaherty's.
Yeah.
And the garage door was open. I saw the sign. Jim's son was out mowing the lawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped. I said, I'm interested in buying the sign. So he said, well, I'll talk to my mother about it, and I left my name and number. A couple of weeks went by, and for whatever reason, I never got the phone call. One day I checked my voicemail, and the day after, Shirley called me to come get the sign, and I never got the call, but the voicemail was there. So I'm like, holy shit. So my wife at the time was the girlfriend, and I said, we gotta go to Lingate Road right now. I had a voice message from Shirley. She's gonna sell me the sign. So I called Shirley up. Yeah, it's still here. Come get it if you want it. So I said, great, I'm on the way right now. So we hopped in my old 87 Ford pickup truck, and we hightailed it right to the house. I never saw the sign other than from the road, so I had no idea if it was fluorescent light up or anything, but I knew it was there.
Yeah.
So I went in the garage. Shirley brought me in there. There's only one half, the frame, and only one half of the sign was hanging against the back of the wall. And she plugged it in and it lit up. I never done anything to it. This is exactly how I got it from Jim's. So Shirley sold me the sign, sold me a white rose thing I had hanging over there. I'll show you later. It came from Jim's garage too. And yeah, so she said, well, there's another half of the sign. She says, I don't know what the guy's name is. I don't know who he is, but Jim gave the other half of this sign to somebody. So I said, okay, all right, perfect. And I took a picture of the sign a couple months after I bought it. Hanging in my garage, and I put it on Kijiji. And I said, somebody in Sydney has the other half of this sign, and I'd like to buy it. Yeah. So 4 or 5, I don't know, could have been 6 months went by. Suddenly I get an email from this girl. She says, that sign's hanging in my dad's garage. So I sent her an email back. I said, this is my name, this is my number, have your dad call me. So her dad called me, his name was Keavin. Yeah. Keavin calls me up, and I tell him, I said, listen, I have the sign from Jim. And he said, yeah, and I have the other half. Jim gave it to me. Yeah. So I told him where I lived, I invited him over, he came into my garage. He saw what you see here at a lesser scale. Yeah, you need the other stuff. Yeah, so he saw I had the sign hanging up, he saw that Ford sign next to it, he saw a bunch of other stuff I had, and he said, okay, come on over, this is my address. He said, come on over a couple days or whatever. He was busy, I couldn't go over that day. So I'm dying with suspense, a couple days go by, I go out to his address, out on we Center. I walk in, there's a sign hanging there, and he agreed to sell it to me. So, and then he told me the story. So what it was, Jim was just came from Jim Sampson's on the corner of George.
Jim Sampson's.
Yep.
Volkswagen dealer.
Yeah, so they sold Ford tractors back in the 60s.
And who would know that?
Yep.
Except someone from back in that era.
So what it was, the sign, Jim found the sign in the basement at one point. I'm not sure if Jim worked there or what he was doing there, but he found the sign in the basement, and the manager let him have it. And it pissed a lot. I guess a few people wanted it, but Jim ended up getting it. So Jim got the sign in the basement of Jim Sampson's. He found it, drug it out of there, drug it home, and he gave Keavin the other half of the sign. So the two of them had the sign. So Keavin agreed after 30 years or 40 years to sell me the other half of the sign.
Put the sign back together as it was.
I put them back together as it was. I now have both of them, and now I have the story.
Yep.
And then on top of that, so then he sweetens the deal.
He does?
Keavin does,
Keavin
yeah.
does?
So Keavin says to me, so Keavin has the golf sign hanging on the other wall of the garage. So Keavin then agrees to sell me the golf sign. And the golf sign came from the corner of Inglis and Prince.
Yep.
And as we make our way to that side of the garage, I'll show you the original ads for that sign.
Let's go. They're not going to jump. Let's go.
Yeah. So Jim Spagaletti, that's his Ford sign. So moving along, yeah. So instead of traffic lights, took me forever to get us that. You're seeing some of the VA stuff coming up here. Irving was one of the starts of my collection.
Look at this look.
Mr. BA.
And they wore the hats.
And they wore the
hats on. They had to have the hats on.
Unfortunately, I can't afford a hat, but someday I'll get one.
How much?
Right now, the hats are selling around anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on the condition and the badge that's on them.
Yeah.
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 But when I first started collecting, I said there's going to be, you had to limit yourself. So I said, you know what, my collection is going to consist of Ford, obviously, because I was a big Ford guy. It's going to consist of Irving, because that's some of the first stuff I had.
That's right.
And I love the color green.
Yeah.
So I said I had to collect BA stuff.
Yep.
So that was the 3 focal points of my collection.
Where did all this come from? I know it all came from somewhere. You've got a story, but that's amazing itself.
So if you drive down Kings Road, where the Irving, I'm not even sure what you call it. There's Irving owns this property all along the water on Kings Road there, and there's some stockpile tanks there.
Yeah.
So if you drive by there, you'll see this sign up front. This is the one that got replaced.
City Marine Terminal.
So now it no longer says City Marine Terminal, it just says Irving on a big 12-foot sign. Yeah. But a good friend of mine who works for one of the local sign companies, they were hired to switch that sign out one day, And luckily, he dropped that sign off to
It
me.
was probably going in the dumpster.
It was going to the dumpster. So I have the other half over here behind the couch. You can't see it, but I actually have both
Yeah.
halves.
Mhm.
So that's a beautiful, nice local piece, right? And you might appreciate it. So the actual porcelain sign now. So this sign was pre-65. It was gas and oil. It was between 60 and 65 based on all the literature I had. And I have lots of literature.
Mhm.
I was able to determine that they weaned out gas and oil at the logo between 60 and 65. That came from my catalog. So Velco and Ioka are the original Irving. So Irving started in 1923 with one service station just outside of St. John, New Brunswick, and that was the original. That was their original stuff. So those cans are dated on the bottom in the 30s. Yeah. So I started collecting all that stuff. So I got paper towel rolls, everything here. So that's Irving for the entire roll. The entire.
It's very cool, actually.
Now the holder's not original, but it's just the paper towel's original.
Yeah.
I bought all these trucks from a guy over in City Mines. He had every one of them for years. I think he got them in Ontario originally, but because he came here from Ontario. But I bought every one of them. They're all new, old stock, unopened, with the exception of the two used ones. Light bulbs, yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Every garage had one of those.
Here's a BA one I just got. These are my new additions.
You're coming into the garage and you say, oh, my perk light is burnt out, and my signal light is burnt out, and they're going right there. I think you got it right here.
Yep. So these are my new additions.
That's
These
really nice.
These just came in the mail yesterday.
They're shaped that, so where'd that come from?
I bought this from, I follow a lot of auction companies,
Yeah.
so I just bought this at auction. The stuff right here just came in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Original paper towel rack for BA. Comes with a whole slew of BA paper towels. I have an original unopened package of BA towels there. So this is my die cast. A lot of these I've had since I was a kid.
Really?
Yep. Started collecting these. These are the first things I started collecting when I was a kid.
Keeper and Chrysler. In the 1970s, if you were 16 years old, you could go into Cape Breton Chrysler. You had a driver's license.
Yep.
And you could test drive any car you wanted.
Wow.
The salesman wouldn't go with you.
You imagine.
You could just go and test drive a 340. Probably a Hemi, I don't know.
That's crazy.
But I did it twice, me and one of my best friends, Brent Sims, and we were 16 or 17 years old. And we test drove 2 340s on the lot at Cape Breton Chrysler.
That's
They
crazy.
just let you go, give you the keys and say, go, come back. You know, there's some gas in it, come back in a half an hour, test drive the car.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. And the lot was full of muscle cars
Yep.
because it was 1969, 70,
Yep.
71, 72. It was that time frame. It was
Yep.
filled with muscle cars.
So basically, muscle car era. The prime years are 67 to 72.
67 to 72.
Because 72 was pollutions, right?
Well,
By
71 was the last high compression car.
Yeah.
And then 1972, the low compression came in, and insurance rates were going crazy through the roof.
Yeah.
And
And
the car dealers were dropping the horsepower, dropping the compression ratio, and trying to keep the
Pollution
insurance
controls coming in.
pollution control.
And by 73,
73, it was forget it.
well, because bumper regulations came in
Yeah,
73,
forget it.
right? So
19
cars got ugly. They had to redesign cars by 73.
1973, no.
Yes.
No. However, the picture I showed you of my garage, my friend's 73 Cuda,
Yeah.
didn't do it to the Cudas.
They didn't do it. So they didn't have those big ugly bumpers on the
They
coolers
had
yet.
bumperettes on them.
Yes.
They had
Yes.
big bumperettes.
Yeah,
ugly
I know what you're
bumperettes.
talking about. Yeah.
You just take them off and it looks like a 1972 or
Yeah.
71 Cuda.
Because a lot
It's
of
the same body.
you could get them on the Ford pickup trucks back then, the bumperettes.
Yeah, they were ugly.
They were ugly as shit.
And they got uglier in 74. In 74 in 74 they were probably 3.5 to 4 inches.
Well, nothing was uglier than the
Of
Mustang too.
Black rubber, and the Mustang 2 was a
Right?
that was a nightmare.
He's a Mustang guy, so
That was a nightmare.
there's no uglier
There's my
car
Mustang.
than the
There's my
70s
Mustang
Mustang
home.
2.
Huh?
There's no uglier car than the 70s Mustang 2.
I have this one home in the garage.
I would take an 80s Mustang LX Coupe over a 70s
Over the
Mustang 2.
70s, they were
Yeah.
horrible. They were.
And there's no power,
They were trying to make
no glare.
performance cars out of them. Remember they did. I don't know if you remember, but going back and reading about it, they tried to do a muscle car and call it the King Cobra.
Yes, that's right.
It was that ugly little
I have
car.
tons of books
It was
there.
called
so
the King Cobra.
somewhere in one of those books is
It's
that
called
King
the King
Cobra.
Cobra.
Yeah,
It's horrible.
yeah. Ugly is what you want to
It's a
see.
marketing nightmare for them too.
Yeah. So this cabinet's actually just too full. I actually have to split this up, but because we're trying to get everything out here, I just keep
Yes.
throwing things in.
Yeah.
But this is crowded, so I think a lot of these cans need to come out and go elsewhere. But
Yeah.
But this is all
BA
BA
this,
stuff.
buddy. It's still cool to have
Yeah.
this.
So basically what it was so your BA started with your bow tie, right? So BA's been around since like the 30s, right?
Yeah.
Started out with the bow tie logo. I actually have that big BA sign. So the outside here is going to be a BA service station.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the 2 matching BA pumps, which I have 2 original BA pumps, and I've got that big 8-foot bow tie sign. So I'm going to hang that from the pumps.
So when did BA go to golf? What year was it?
So 30s it started out like this.
Yeah.
By the 1950s they were using this round logo.
Yeah.
And then let's just open this puppy up here. And then all of a sudden they switched their color. So their color went from green and red to blue and orange.
Okay.
And that would have been going in the late 50s into the 60s.
Okay.
And somewhere around 65 is when they were bought out by Gulf.
Okay.
So I actually have this can down here. Here it is here. Well, I can't get it out, but I actually have that can with all here.
So it was around 1965.
Around between 60 and 65, BA was bought out by Gulf.
So we were kids driving down the hill when this became golf.
Yep. And the only reason I'm able to piece a lot of that stuff together is by the paperwork and the documentation. So as you buy these brochures and you get these books, that's how you learn that stuff, right? So now, a good friend of mine, Jamil's telling, this was his dad's original BA service station down the street. So he came in here 2 weeks ago for the first time, and he hasn't seen these since the 60s.
Since the 60s.
Yeah. So that was a little trip down memory lane for him.
It's funny, I mean, when you're, who knows what you're doing when you're younger and you throw stuff away,
That's
right?
it. Well, he remembers working there, so as he came in here, like I wish I had taped that too, because he worked for his dad at the BA service station.
Yeah.
So he was the guy wearing that hat, with the shirt on, going out, checking your oil, washing your windshield, checking your tire pressure. Right? So he remembers every bit of that as working. And then going to do the towing at the same time.
You throw that stuff away.
And that's what it was. It's a
Just throw it
little
away.
sewing kit is what it is.
You have no use for any of that.
Yeah.
You say, oh, I'm done now, you throw it away, put it in the garbage, and it's gone.
So as I mentioned to you, here's 2 original service station ads for the Gulf service station. On Prince and Inglis, Sydney Shopping Center.
What year would this be?
So this would be around, the newspaper, I should have wrote it on it, but I think this came out of a 71 newspaper.
I got some old newspapers home.
So, and there's another full-size one. So the car wash is still there. You can still go there and get your car washed. It's still the original building that it was back then. And then this is the actual sign that hung on side the road.
Yep.
And I got that from Keavin. And all because I finally got Jim's sign, and Jim led me to Keavin, Keavin led me to this, and now, you know what I mean? So you see how the network, right?
Amazing. This is amazing. It's amazing that you have.
So this one actually has a wooden bottom. This one is going way back. Like I said, that's the original 1920s, 1930s BA. That actually has a wooden bottom in it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Texaco sign is very cool as well.
Yeah, repo, they're just filler-ins, repops, right? But
Yep.
actually, this is a sitting right here, but this is what they did back in the day. See this little card here? That's an original BA sign that I found in Sussex. I go to Sussex every year for the big swap meet that the car club puts on.
Yep.
And I found that in Sussex the last year I went 2 years ago. It was an original porcelain BA sign that somebody cut up, welded up, and made some kind of a card of it. But that's what they did back
Didn't know
then.
any better.
But what a sin though to see that.
Didn't know any better.
But for $50, I said I'm taking it.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Like that's it's
still a
cool,
story.
right? It's a story.
It's a story.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Someone did that.
Somebody did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't think they were destroying history because that's not what you think at the time.
I drove to St. John in the snowstorm and bought 4 of these back. These came from the actual Irving refinery.
You got 4?
4 of them. There's 2. This is a 7-foot by 10-foot one. So I had 2 7x10s and 2 6x8s. And me and Janelle drove down in a snowstorm and bought them. Buddy had them on Kijiji, and again, we're going back a few years ago.
So from this point here,
Yep.
to that point over there,
Yep.
there's one sign.
No, this is the sign.
This is the sign.
This is the sign. So
What's
what
this?
What these are actually
like insignias.
they're the canopy ends. So there would have been a 2-foot sign at the center of the canopy, and those were the rest of the
Okay,
canopy
gotcha.
that went down.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So those I picked up separately, but I just did this design.
Yeah, very nice.
But the actual sign
That's actually beautiful.
came from the actual refinery in St. John. So Buddy put up the sign. What was it? Yeah, I think it was $400. I don't usually talk about money. I'm going to edit this out because I don't put money in any of my videos. But so it was $400.
For what, that?
Well, that's what I thought.
That's pretty cheap.
Well, that's what I thought. So we're going back like 7
I think it's
years.
pretty cheap.
So we're going back 7
I'd buy
years.
it for $400.
$400. So I messaged him. I said, okay, so you're selling for $400. And in his message, it said, yeah, you can have them all for $400. So it wasn't $400 for one. It was $100 each, and for $400, you took all 4 of them. So we hopped in the Ford Ranger. I broke ours Ford Ranger. We picked up a trailer in Amherst from U-Haul, and we drove the rest of the way to St. John in a snowstorm. Loaded up the 4 signs and hightailed her back to Cape Breton. So I traded one 6x8 for this sign,
Yeah.
and sold the other 2. And then I kept the 7x10 for myself. Yeah. But they actually came right from the Irving refinery.
I have no idea why anybody would do that for $400.
Well, see, this was back before, this was American Pickers was just started. And this
Okay.
was before
So
anybody.
you've had this a long time.
I've had that sign probably 7 or 8 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like a lot of this stuff I've gotten for next to nothing, and I've been lucky enough to do that too, right?
Mhm.
But now, as the years go by,
People
and
know the value more.
it's getting harder and harder, right?
Online, yeah, the prices just go crazy.
It's going crazy, right?
Crazy.
So I'll tell you a story about this right quick too now. So this is a white rose sign. Now that I have the barkeepers, I'm going to clean that up too. This is a 5-foot double-sided, and it's from St. Peter's. No, yeah, St. Peter's. So where the liquor store is now at St. Peter's,
Yep.
across the street is an empty
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
That was a White Rose service station.
See, I don't remember that. White Rose at
Yeah.
all. I don't remember that at all.
So White Rose
I
was
go back
bought
to
out by
BA,
Shell.
but that must have been before BA, was it?
No, they would have been around the same
Around the
time
same
BA
time?
was, but they around the time BA got absorbed by Golf,
Mhm.
they were absorbed by Shell.
Okay.
So there's a few rare cans out there that have the mix between White Rose and Shell on the same can. And I don't own one, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But so I'll tell you that I went to Sussex about 4 years ago. Was it about 4 years ago? No, longer than that. About 5 years ago. It might have been my first year at Sussex. I have the picture of it still. I had my little site set up. I don't know if you've ever been to Sussex. Big swap meet they have
No,
every year. Car Club puts it on. It's massive though, right? Hundreds and hundreds of sites.
Mhm.
So like John Newman and Jim Spagaletti, these guys, they would have went years ago, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I look behind me, all of a sudden I'm on like a little L corner and it's a chain link fence and I can look over across the corner to the fence. All of a sudden I set up my site, I got it all set up, I turn around, look behind me, that sign's leaning against the fence behind me. I said, Jesus, I gotta have it, right? So I go over, I ask her, I ask her what she wants for it, and she wanted a lot for it. She had a big price on it.
Yeah.
And it was a price, yeah, I could have bought it for her, but it probably would have ate every ounce of cash I had in my pocket, and here we are on day 1 of setting
No,
up.
I can't do that.
I can't do it, right?
No.
So I go back to my site and I'm staring at that all day long. Now day 1 is only for vendors, right? Day 1 and day 2 are only for vendors. So
Mhm.
there's nobody in from the public yet. It's just vendors going around buying up from each other the first 2 days.
Yep.
I go back over. Her and her husband are there having drinks outside their trailer, and I go over and I start talking to them. And so her dad had the White Rose service station in St. Peter. She starts talking. So I said, "Well, I'm from Cape Breton. I'm from Sydney." Right, so I started telling her, I started showing her pictures of this Ford sign, that Ford sign. We start storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there, they're having a few drinks or whatever, and we're storytelling. And the next day she comes over and she says, "I'll tell you what," she said, "I'm going to sell you this sign because I know you want it."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll tell you right now, I won't sell it." I said, "I'll go in my personal collection with all the other
Stay.
signs from Cape Breton."
Stay.
And I said, "I love the story, and I'll tell the story." And
Yeah.
she agreed to sell me that sign for half the price that she had on it. And you know how many people were willing to pay her the price she was asking?
See, that's a better way to sell it.
Yeah.
It's not just about money.
It's not about
This
the money.
is not just about
It's
money.
not about the
No,
money.
It's never about. It's about the story.
Yeah.
It's about the history, right? It's never about the money.
It's never about the
If
money.
it's about the money, you're in the wrong
You're in
business.
the wrong business.
You're going to buy that and sell it to make
Yeah.
more money.
So she could
And
have
then you're going
sold.
to die someday, and where's the money going to go? You've got this story forever. Right?
Yeah. She could have sold that for
Yeah.
her asking price, which was a large, hefty price.
Yeah.
4 or 5 times over. That would have been gone before she left the site.
Yeah. For the full price.
For the full price,
Yeah.
with no issue at all.
Yeah.
And I ended up with a sign.
And sometimes when you see that and there's a price on it,
Yeah.
and 5 people want it and they want it really bad and they got to make
It
cash,
drives the price up.
it's going to go up.
It does go
You
up.
got a bidding war, right?
Yep.
And something like that. Yeah, that's a beautiful sign. Beautiful.
And so the fact that she actually, for them, it wasn't about the money anymore either. That was great. That was great. So
It's like this. That sign right there. That was never about money.
it was never about money.
No.
And after
It's
30,
gonna
40
pass
years,
that on and there's going to be a story forever in this garage. You're
Yeah.
only 30 what?
I'm 33.
33 years
Yeah.
old. You're going to be here till you're 70 telling stories.
And for
about this.
33 years, that sign was separated.
And they know that.
Yep.
Yeah, they know that.
So yeah, so then there's a mix. So most of this, so here's a lot of White Rose stuff here. So a lot of this is all local, with the, like not just the cans, but if you look at the matchboxes, White Rose, City Mines, J.A. McLaughlin.
See? How did you find
It just
it's that
you
luck or
find it.
what?
You
just find you just see it somewhere. Look at this, look at this.
all this stuff here, including these and everything, like this all is shads. So or shads, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. So they had White Rose service stations in Bedeck and in Shetty Camp. So they had 3 different ones around Keavin Trail. So these are all 4 from there. So they have one in Inverness, Shetty Camp, and Bedeck. There it is right there. So all local. So White Rose stuff, highly collectible, of course. Brings, if you're in it for that, it brings money, but this is all local. So here's one of their calendars.
Oh, very cool.
Shad's Fuels Bedeck.
God, people threw those away every year. They threw them away.
So it was a service station,
Jim's
general
Golf,
store,
throw it away.
and a restaurant. Because in those little things, English town, right? You had to do it all. You didn't survive by doing one thing. You did it all. You must remember all these now. So I have all kinds of different ones. So these are all the fuel can spouts, right?
Yeah, I got one of those home.
So you press them in the can. I have a bunch of different ones.
Shove them in the can and away you go.
I have a
And they
couple.
always leaked.
Yeah. Oh,
Always
I
leaked, a little bit of a leak, and you had to take your cloth and put on. Don't put anything on my car.
Yep.
Don't
So
leak on my car.
FINA stuff. You know what FINA stands for? I'd be surprised if you didn't, Steve.
We had a FINA garage in New Waterford on the main street. FINA. No.
Finest in North America.
Oh, I should have known
You
that.
should have known that.
I should have known
You
that.
should have known that.
Yeah.
So like here's a little FINA keychain logo.
Finest in North America.
Right.
Yeah, I should have known that.
So
For sure.
McGuire Furnace and Stove, dial
Yeah.
562-1272.
Yeah. Right on the main drag, I can see it in New Waterford, the FINA garage.
So box, matchbooks. So actually this is a rare can here, the White Rose, because this is a Prestone one with the White Rose logo on it. That's a crossover can, right? So it's 2 different ones. Just like I said, there's a couple shell cans out there that say White Rose, Canadian White Rose distribution on the side.
Yeah.
Very hard to come by.
Like that too.
Prestone, yeah. There's 3 different versions of that. I have 2 of the 3.
I remember this very clearly.
I was lucky to get that too.
That sign, I remember that very clearly.
So I actually have the one for the visible pump up there in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So that one's curved to go on the visible pump.
Yeah.
Shell sign, very first one I bought, one of the first videos I did.
That's one of the first signs. Is that the first sign you ever bought?
Very first sign I bought from Johnny Newman. Bought that from Johnny Newman, had buyer's remorse the day I bought it, and I will never get it from him.
When you went to Johnny's garage, was it that old thing that was ready to fall apart?
The one down back, yeah.
It should have been destroyed?
Yep.
Well, Johnny Newman,
Yeah, the 63 Galaxy in it too, that was a
Yes.
scary part.
when I was young, growing up, and started hanging around the garage, the Jim's Golf,
Yep.
Johnny Newman was known in New Waterford for doing excellent body work and meticulous paint jobs
Absolutely.
on cars. And he painted over there. He did his work over there. And I'm a fussy sort of a person. And you drive by and you'd go, really? He does that work in that garage.
That's crazy.
It was unbelievable.
He has a visible Texaco pump there
Yeah.
that they drug out of a lake and brought back from down by Kanzo, down on the mainland. And it looks immaculate. It's all done over. Johnny did it all over.
Yeah.
But he told me some of the things he did to that pump, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Where like some of like the trim work was missing,
Yeah.
and he actually put like rod in there and slowly welded it, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Genius. He was a genius.
Yeah.
I think he was a genius anyway.
And like you said, he did it all in that little garage.
In that little tiny little
Yeah.
garage in the backyard.
Yeah. So Superline sign, that's local too. Buddy over in Reserve.
I don't remember that either. Superline.
Another guy named Keavin.
That's I don't know where would that be from?
Superline.
What year
There
would
wasn't
this
many
be?
of them around.
What year would this be?
It has to be before 60 because
Yeah,
porcelain
yeah.
was used prior to the 60,
Yeah, I don't
and by
remember.
1960 we're into plastic.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. No.
So this sign I actually got last year. I got a same thing, buddy. I know works for a sign company.
Yeah.
He was in a building over by Kings Road there, the old train station.
Yeah.
The big yellow apartment building.
Yes, yeah.
He was in the basement of that in the electrical room doing some work for him, and that sign was in the electrical room laying against the wall for
You
years.
shake it in.
So he gave my number and he called me up, and I went and bought that sign.
And I remember Emerson. Do you remember Emerson?
I do not remember.
I
Emerson.
remember Emerson. Emerson wasn't a high-end electronics company.
Yeah.
They were moderate priced
Almost like a Panasonic.
product you could buy like
Yeah.
a Panasonic.
Yeah.
Anybody could afford to get
That's right.
Emerson, right? And they were popular because they were affordable.